Welcome to Triple M NRL Daily. It's a very, very special edition on a Monday. Charlie White here, and as always on a Monday, this is going to happen all season long. I've got Jimmy Graham and Wade Graham alongside me. Jimmy, how are you, mate?
Yeah, going really good. Magnificent spectacle up at Suncorp Stadium yesterday. A little bit disappointed with the Dolphins, but South Sydney, what a statement that left edge.
Oh, it was incredible. Wade Graham, how you go, mate? Great weekend for you?
Yes, it's great to have the footy back, isn't it? Certainly, it's good to have regular routine and to be able to sit at home and watch the footy all weekend. And it's great to be back on a Monday with the Graham Family Trust.
Yeah, the Grahams here every Monday. It's great to see. My dad's name's Graham, so I like having Grahams around.
Graham.
Yeah, Graham. He's not got Graham. That would be a bit harsh if your parents called you Graham.
Neville.
Yeah. Peter Peters.
Yeah. Jemba.
We can do this all day. We're going to start, though, with the Dolphins-Rabbitohs game because you were there, Jimmy. And, you know, a lot of expectations for the Dolphins. I think you even had the Dolphins as a top 4 side this year or close to the top 4. Were you disappointed with what you saw?
Yes, I was. And, look, I'm not going to put a line through them by any stretch of the imagination. I didn't think they played the conditions well at all. They're different expectation on the Dolphins this year. I think a lot of people are talking them up, and they've got to learn how to handle that. On the flip side of it, though, a lot of people talking up the left edge of South Sydney with Latrell and Fifita. They delivered.
How good was it to see David Fifita back in first grade, looking strong, looking fit? And I know he spent a lot of time out of first grade for whatever reasons up there at the Gold Coast, but it's great to see him back. We know how damaging he is, and he's only going to get better the longer the season goes.
Well, I was racking my brain. I was thinking, when have we ever seen him play 80 minutes? Now, granted, he missed the last 8 minutes with that bit of a
joke of a sin bin. But we'll move on from that. But isolate his performance. So much energy, enthusiasm, both sides of the football. I thought South Sydney used him really well. Was involved in a number of tries, and that combination with Cody Walker down that left-hand side with option 1 Fifita, option 2 Latrell, maybe even option 3 Gray out the back, or option 4 over the top to AJ. I mean, that is do your best.
Oh, I know it's only round 1, but when we look at the Rabbitohs and, you know, their roster, they are the real dark horse team this year, aren't they? I know we have Penrith, Melbourne, Broncos, Sharks, Bulldogs, who have gone well the last couple of years, and they're always in everyone's conversation. But you look at that roster and you just go, well, if they get it together under Wayne Bennett, they play consistently, and they all play at the level that we know that they can play, well, they're going to threaten some teams at the right part of the season, because they're a scary team with that roster that they have. And again, it's only round 1, but if they consistently play at their best, they're probably the real dark horse of the year.
Yeah, I've been quite critical of their middle over the sort of past 18 months. And you know, you've got to factor in the fact that Cam Murray has been missing. The difference he made, I think Keon Kalomatangi is now, like, his days of playing on the edge are just gone.
He was fantastic yesterday.
He was. And I think with Keon and Murray, that's enough. Like, you can put some people in and around there, and if they can play maybe like 120 minutes between them, maybe even 130 minutes between them, you can fit people in and around that, and short bursts, the likes of your Tallis Duncans, Totola, who, you know, it was good yesterday without being great, you know, but he only needs to be good, doesn't need to be great, you know. And like I say, you complement that with Kepi or Tallis Duncan. Not forget, we've got Brandon Smith to come back into the mix as well. So if those two consistently knock out 120 minutes, 130 minutes between them, that's going to be the key for South Sydney, because I think that those two are so important. That the work that they do in and around the intricate details of both sides of the ball, the quick play of the balls, and the clean-up work in defence is huge for them.
Yeah. Rabbitohs were the if team coming into the season. If Wayne Bennett can get the best out of David Fifita, tick. If Latrell Mitchell can get back to his best, tick. He looked amazing in that first game. If Cam Murray
will bounce back straight away from these injuries. Tick. Like all the question marks around South Sydney have been answered.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just, but for them, it's just that consistency. Like, they've had some injury issues over the last couple of years. Keir Murray, the big one last year, but that's really an Achilles a whole season thing. It's the soft tissues that have popped up with Cody, with Latrell. That's really plagued them the last couple of years. And again, if they keep their best 17 on the, or 18 on the park every week and they play at that level, they're going to be a threat. And then just on the Dolphins, they'd be disappointed with that performance yesterday. I think they would have had a lot of expectation coming into the season on themselves. And just a couple of moments, looking back on the game, I think Jai Gray just split the markers and went through the ruck. Memezoulis went straight for the ruck both times of the tries. And early in the season, that's just a big no-no. But it was great to see Tommy Flegler back. I know he spent some time in the bin at the end, but him and Gilbert in that forward pack, we talk about, you spoke about Cam Murray and Kalamotongi. If Gilbert and Flegler stay fit for the whole season, the Dolphins, they're going to be fine in the middle. They'll improve.
Yeah, throw Morgan Knowles, Frankie Molo, Saifiti in there as well. Max Plath should be back this week. Just on that, Wade, with the splitting of the markers, for me in the wet weather, yes. I know they're looking up and thinking, we've got to move quickly because of the threat of the left edge and South Sydney's shift, but it was early in the tackle count, and it's just your first job is the dummy half. You split at marker, one goes left, one goes right, close down that space of the dummy half, and then move on to the ball carrier should he receive the ball. And they just drifted with their eyes. Yeah. And is it fatigue? Is it like a repetition? I don't know. I just, especially in the wet, because teams are likely to be a little bit more conservative. That would be frustrating.
Lack of attention to detail, and just losing focus at the wrong time. And again, where they happened as well, Jimmy, it was yardage defense really. Like, it wasn't on the try line where you could maybe understand that you need to split quickly and help the edges out. They were defending Souths in their own half, and really, as well as anyone, like the ruck's the most important thing. You defend that first, and for it to happen twice from the opposition's half of the football and for it to lead the points, that hurts.
Yeah, it does.
Do they need to show some grit, the Dolphins, if they're going to be contended? They've had a few performances like this last year where they can score 30 points but concede 30 points. Is that the one thing that they need to fix up if they're going to actually contend for the title this year?
I think for me it's very early in the season. It's only round one, and the two games that were big watch games for me over the weekend were Manly Raiders, and we'll talk about them next, and the Dolphins Rabbits, where, like you said, they were the big if team, the Rabbits this year, and they certainly answered a lot of questions. And the Dolphins, after last year, scoring the most attack in the competition, but still missing the 8, it was like, okay, well, can they improve that defense enough to make them contenders? And they let themselves down yesterday. But I'm not going to read so much into it just after one round. I'll give them a bit of grace, and I definitely think they have improvement in them.
It's probably those lapses in concentration that has really cost them, and we know the attack that they've got, and maybe you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have these free flowing attacking players that play with a carefree attitude, that offload at will and can create things out of nothing. But they have to learn to switch mentally and have a more hard-nosed approach in defense if they're going to give this competition a shake, like a lot of people are predicting they can and they will, because we love their attack. They don't want to be labeled as this team that is a shootout team.
Yeah.
Other teams with that tag, you automatically think of the Cowboys, the Gold Coast Titans, two of the sides that didn't make the 8, that can get hot or cold. South Sydney are a team that you could look at and go, they could be a shootout side with the attack that they've got. But yesterday it appeared they did have that little bit of grit in defense and the ability to turn the game. It was Cody Walker with a 40-20 that was a big that did that, and then they were happy to be patient, and they 3, maybe 4 repeat sets, and they were willing to. They didn't go chasing things. Where I think, look at the Dolphins, the attitude of them with the attack, they were looking to score all the time. Too many crash plays into the line, edge back row, although it did work on occasion. In the wet conditions, round one as well, like you've got to get that timing perfectly. It's a high pressure pass, high risk pass. When if you play a bit pre-line and you're willing to go a bit deeper and not necessarily chase points, but chase pressure, it makes a huge difference.
Latrell Mitchell in the centres, Jimmy. Jai Gray at the back. Were you happy with that and how it looked?
Yeah, I think it adds to Latrell's game by taking something away in terms of the not just the physical load, but the mental concentration load of the position that is fullback. And probably most of our listeners see fullback as high paid and the flashy stuff of Reece Walsh, of the hammer of Ponga. But there's a lot of moving parts there. And even Latrell Mitchell, when he played there, he was sensational. But there's a lot doing there. And obviously with Latrell's injuries, Manly could face a similar debate. Do you want Tommy Turbo on the field, or do you want him playing fullback and potentially missing games? Higher risk of him missing games. Should he play fullback? I think with Souths, Latrell playing in the centres can influence the game at a higher frequency than what he can do at fullback, and that's only going to get better as he not grows into the role, but as he readapts to that position. I can see him, maybe not just being pigeonholed on that left hand side and come around and play as a second fullback, like we see almost Stephen Crichton do or did at the Bulldogs at certain stages last year.
Well, we saw he still managed to get involved a lot more than a traditional centre just yesterday. Like, he came in and did a few kicks on the last play. He's got that great left foot. So he's certainly not going to be locked into that one position all game. And really, I'm sure Wayne Bennett trusts his sense, the awareness of the moment, the awareness of where they're at in the contest to make a play and come in from his centres when he has to. And I just think with that South Sydney team, they're a better team with Jai Gray in it than without him in it. So he's in the team at fullback.
Good point that way.
They are a better team when he is playing and on the field, and that's at fullback. So you accommodate the team, and Latrell, he's such a talented player. He can affect the game from numerous positions, and he's good enough to do that at left centre.
Yeah, Wade makes a great point there, that you've got that guy to come in and do a fantastic job. If Jai Gray's not there, you maybe force Latrell to play fullback. But with Jai coming in, it puts your mind at ease. He's no more. He'll do a lot for that South Sydney Rabbitohs side.
Ashton Ward, we saw him at the airport. Jimmy, he was in a wheelchair, obviously. That sounds really dramatic, but it's just syndesmosis. Brandon Smith was rolling around in a wheelchair for ease of movement around the airport. But he'll definitely miss this weekend coming up.
I don't know how I'd feel about trusting Brandon Smith as my my wheelchair driver, shall we say.
A wheelchair, that's a bit extreme.
Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing he didn't want to use the crutches, maybe. He had a moon boot on,
You can walk in the moon boots with syndesmosis.
Right? I think maybe Brandon saw an opportunity there for a bit of a comedic effect.
What, you take him to the wrong gate, leave him at the gate, and then walk away?
There you go. No.
But he'll probably miss that game. So Sullivan, I imagine, will come in at 7 because Humphreys is still suspended at the moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a logical choice. Big game for Souths. Roosters.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Roosters obviously not starting well. Souths starting really well. The scrutiny around Roosters' right edge and the strength of South's left edge, that's something to relish and look forward to.
Fifita sin bin. Was it harsh?
Yeah, I don't think it was a sin bin. Well, definitely not for Fifita. Obviously, there was some push and shove in the tackle, and then Gilbert took down Fifita with a little bit of extra pepper, maybe forearm, possibly head slam. I could understand him being sent for 10, but not for Fifita.
Will be a great game on Friday, Roosters Bunnies. History beckons for AJ as well, which we're going to talk about later in the show. So keep your powder dry on that one. But the other big game, Wade, you said it was one of the biggest games of the round. Manly v the Raiders. An absolute thriller, a weird game, a very weird game. Manly shot the lights out. Raiders came back and looked home and hosed. Then Manly all of a sudden scored, 16 points in 6 minutes or something crazy like that. And then Ethan Sanders, a 22-year-old kid, slots the field goal. and doesn't even celebrate. It was just that he was that calm, cool, collected. It was
I
incredible
like,
to see.
I like what you have on the credits here, Ethan the Colonel Sanders. That's what his
The
new nickname.
Colonel, I
the
love
Colonel.
that. I love that.
Raiders, for me, were the biggest watch team this weekend just because, listen, we know how well they did last year. They won the minor premiership. Unfortunately, they went out in the finals. But there was a big hole there with Jamal Fogarty leaving. And I hugely respect what Jamal Fogarty brings to a team. I respected what he brought to Canberra. And I know there was big raps on the Colonel Sanders, but I just hadn't seen enough of him. Potential is one thing. I haven't seen a lot of his football, and I thought there might be a gap in their kicking game and a gap in just their calmness and composure with Jamal Fogarty leaving. But I thought Ethan Sanders was great. They didn't have the ball for the first 11 or 12 minutes. They had to defend that whole time, which is almost unheard of in our game. They went down 14-0. They just hung in there as Canberra do. Their outside backs were amazing, getting them out of the backfield, and they just found tries. The young back row who got a double.
Noah Martin.
He's a wild thing. I think Hudson Young came up with a couple of kicks that led to tries, and it was a really gritty performance. And then for the young halfback to step up, when they'd won the game almost, and then a flurry of points from Manly, get him back into Golden Point, for him to step up in the moment and just ice a field goal from just inside 40 metres out. It's a big tick, and certainly if I was doubting Canberra before the season, after watching that, it's given me a lot of confidence in their team that they're still going to be a problem for a lot of oppositions.
Huge boost, huge win for the Canberra Raiders for a number of reasons that Wade mentioned. New halfback pairing, young half, two very young halves. Down, like you said, under all sorts of pressure. They fought their way back in. I've just been thinking, you brought up last year's final series. The demons of that, with conceding the penalty in the final moment. We've seen this movie before, haven't we? And it's Brisbane Broncos and it's Reece Walsh. And they messed during that game in Golden Point, they messed up the opportunity to take the field goal. And unfortunately for Canberra, Ben Hunt strikes it. They win, Broncos win the game, and the rest is history. Had they have lost that game, you just wonder how much those demons would have come back into the mind of those Raiders players, the fans. Ricky Stewart would have been scratching his head, but they got that win, and it was vital for them, given what happened to them at the back end of last year. It really, really was. And for me, Ethan Sanders slots that field goal. It was strange, but he didn't celebrate. There was no pressure on him. It almost came from nowhere. I do need to question Manly for their lack of urgency. You contrast that with the Raiders, outdid themselves. They were so urgent. They were offside. Great call by the referee to award that penalty, by the way. But that's where you'd rather go and be urgent, roll the dice.
Yeah, put the pressure on the referee.
Put the pressure on the referee to make the call, than allow him to get there. You've really got to question where that urgency was from Manly. And people can say, well, I didn't think he was going to strike it. Well, you've got to assume that. And even if he's not striking a field goal, you've got to put kick pressure on. You're in Golden Point.
He did it easy. The reason he didn't celebrate, because I spoke to him yesterday, Ethan, was because the referee didn't blow the whistle as if it was good, but the referee was checking if it was a 2-point field goal, 1-point field goal. It's like, referee, know the theatre of it all, and blow the whistle and let the boys celebrate.
The theatre of it all. I love that Colonel Sanders nickname. Can we get that going?
Colonel Sanders' incredible nickname, and then his halves partner, do you call him Dr. Strange? They've got the best nicknames in the game.
Oh, that's a good one. I think, on the other side of the ball, Manly, positives for me, big Paseka back. It's great to see him. He makes such a difference for them. And, him and Ola Kawatu, having them fit on the field, because that really takes them to the next level. Those big bodies, hard to handle. They can turn any set or any potential try scoring opportunity into momentum because they're so big and hard to handle. And they certainly missed Big Paseka last year. And Turbo. It wasn't good to see him just running around with this. He had a look of freedom about him. I know he played a lot of footy last year. I think he played 18 or 19 games. But there's no doubt, people who've watched him play, you could tell that he wasn't 100%. He was carrying some stuff. He wasn't quite opening up when he was running, but he played with a sense of urgency the other night and a change of pace when he got the ball that we haven't seen for a while. So I think Manly fans would be happy with that. Disappointed with the loss, but there's some bright rays there.
Yeah, typical Turbo. I'll put the team on my back.
Yeah,
and come with me. And Manly are at their best when he's doing that. It's just about how many now can follow that lead. You mentioned the big boppers there in Paseka and Olakawatu. We know that they're going to do that. That's a given. The coach can trust those two to deliver each and every week. Turbo has that mentality. It's about now who can go and come with him and have that same level of care factor into the performance. Because Manly are under the pump. A lot of people tipping them not to make the 8 this year. Turbo seemed determined to prove those doubters wrong. For me, the messaging in the dressing room this week is you don't want to single out Turbo and embarrass him. But Manly players would be switched on and aware to this. The message should be, boys, follow this man's lead. And we're gonna have it. We're gonna have a chance because that game at home against the Raiders, considering all those circumstances that we've mentioned, it was there for the taking for them to win. That is one that got away.
Yeah.
As great as Canberra were, Manly 14-0 up at home. You really shouldn't allow the Raiders back in, but they did. Messaging this week: get that care factor, follow Turbo, and we'll win more games than we lose.
Another player who did step up for them, Tolu Kula, who you get him early ball and he makes things happen, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, that's been a pattern of play and a strategy of Manly's to shift early, especially in yardage. And with Kola, he's the type of player that is so powerful on the outside of his opposite man and with pace to burn. It's a great tactic to have. He's a magnificent athlete and rugby league footballer. So you'll expect to see more of that of Manly. I still think they need to strike the balance between how shift happy they can be with that power game, especially with Paseka back.
Did you boys have any thoughts on Jake Trbojevic and his performance? Obviously, in that headgear that we knew he was going to wear. Did you notice anything for him, or does he just need a bit of time to get going?
Oh, well, a little bit of time to get going, but I thought he was solid. Like it's the Jake Trbojevic performance that we're used to. Like, he's not going to be that front rower that makes 180 meters post contact meters. He's the glue there in the middle, the experience, the someone you can trust and rely on in the middle. And I think that's where he is. How old is he now? 33, 32, 33. He's obviously coming off the concussions. I'm happy to give him a tick. I think there's other areas that need to improve. And again, it's round one. I'm more than happy with his performance and how he went. And it's good to see, again, it's good to see him back after the issues he had last year.
Yeah, because you've been through the exact same thing. You had those concussions, then you came back and then you played Origin for New South Wales after going through those concussions. Does it take a bit of time to build that confidence?
Well, everybody's different. And Jakey wouldn't be, he's experienced enough. He wouldn't be playing unless he was confident. And he's just finished the preseason. And I know there's not the contact you get in it, like a game contact that you get in the preseason, but you work hard, and there's a lot of scrimmages where it's full tilt, and you're copying knocks and building your confidence up. And again, first game of the year, all front rows and middle, they take a little bit of time to get their match fitness. But I thought Jakey was fine. It's good to see him back. The headgear is a little bit odd looking.
It is, isn't it? It's going to take a few games to get used to it. It's like a bubble wrap around his head almost.
Well, it's like Braden Triner and the shaved head, right? Like, as soon as you change
Who's
something,
that?
you change something, and then it just looks odd to start with, but you get used to it pretty quick. And listen, it might look a little bit different, but do what you got to do, mate. You want to extend your career and play more footy and keep healthy. Well, that's the best way for him.
Absolutely.
So be it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, pass mark for me with Jakey Trbojevic. I thought he worked really hard. He's always going to play that way. I think it's probably unfair to compare him to his absolute peak when he was one of the best middles in the competition. But what he, in terms of what he used to bring, he more than makes up for that in that being that glue, that leadership, that experience, and that passion and care factor. And another one of the Trbojevics that couldn't give more to the cause.
Now, one of the contenders from last year, prelim finals the last 2 years, the Cronulla Sharks, absolutely put the cleaners through the Gold Coast Titans, 50 points to 10. They were, 36-0 up at halftime. Wade, your Sharkies looked the goods.
Yeah, I think, I know Jimmy said they're probably the most boring team to watch this year, but that was the best.
That was, have you been at Sharks training where they flipped that up?
No. I watched it myself on the buy round. I noticed you said it on the buy round too when you had a Sharks jersey hanging up in the back.
Your Sharks jersey
my
as well.
Sharks jersey. I think that was the best half by a team in the opening round. They were dialed in. They were all connected. Everyone, was on song in that first half performance. I think it was funny looking at the stats. I called the game in here at the studio, and we know how the computer with the stats. Titans actually dominated the stats. It was 50-50 possession, but tackles in opposition half, tackles in opposition 20 was all in the Titans' favour.
Wow.
I think just opportunity and making the most of the ball that they had. Like the Sharks didn't go into that half and not score a try in that first half. They were just on song, and it was great to see the combination of Trindle and Hines, Will Kennedy and Brayley all play well. The forwards, everyone contributed. It was just a really good team performance. And, people might say the opposition, the Titans, they're at the start of a journey. I certainly have a lot of respect for Josh Hannay, and hopefully they will improve this year. But no one was going to be better prepared for the Sharks and the Titans because Josh Hannay had been in the club for 4 years. So, really good performance. What a great test now this week against Penrith. What a spectacle for Bathurst as well. We'll get into the Penrith and Broncos game next, but Penrith great last week against the Broncos up there at Suncorp. Now the Sharks off that big performance. It's round 2 match. It's a big clash early, and the folks at Bathurst get to see that live. That's going to be fantastic. I might even drive out there, Jimmy.
What's the Wade Graham Cup, mate? You got to go there. Panthers and the Sharks.
On the Sharks, that's a game most people expected them to win, and they did, and that's a huge tick. I've got no issues about the Sharks turning up at Bathurst. They rise to the occasion. I say this often about them. I imagine Coach Fitzgibbon wants to see them play the Melbourne Storm each and every week when they play at Shark Park because it brings out the best.
We do like playing the Storm.
Well, it is, and Wade, we've seen them last year put on a dominant display against Melbourne at home. They were into everything. Ronaldo Mulatalo in the faces. The hate of the Storm brings out the best. But then we've seen them play some games that they're expected to win. After 20 minutes, they almost give themselves a slap in the face and say, "Oh my, we didn't expect this to come." And they're playing catch up. They force passes, they chase points, and they end up dropping 2 points that they ultimately should have banked. That for me is why that victory and that dominance was so important. They were expected to dominate, and they did. We know the test for the Sharks, and that's why it was my least excited team to watch, is because we want to see them in September. And, spoken about multiple times in commentary about their being 80 minutes away from a grand final 2 years in a row. I think the Sharks as a group, they would know that this is, they're one step away as a group. They probably know there's going to be a number of players moving on to pastures new. Some of them signed, and they're not stupid. They can recognize that we all can't fit into this this tight cap. I'm still looking for a couple of breakouts. I think Brayley, although he's favoured to be the New South Wales hooker, I think he's got more in him, and obviously that game was a little bit different. He's a breakout player. Kale Iro could be a breakout. He was good, and I think I'm excited to see him maybe separate himself, and he could be one of those like superstar players that maybe people look at with the Sharks and go they're lacking. They've got really good players across all positions on the park. Maybe Adam Fanua-Blake is the great one. But then the great outside back, the top 3 position, could Trindle become one of those players as well? He's maybe one of those underrated, undervalued players that, if the Sharks are going to go and win another premiership, Trindle probably has to be top 2 5/8. He has to rival Munster. Hines goes back to the form that got him this massive deal and made him a superstar and a household name. They're the little things that the Sharks will need to go well for them if they're going to take out the premiership this year.
On the Titans side of things, obviously no Jaden Campbell, but is that enough of an excuse for their first round performance?
No, I think, listening to the Josh Hannay at the end of the game in the press conference, he summed it up. They're at the start of a journey, and they just got taught a lesson in, intensity and attitude right from the get-go. And Sharks just beat them to the punch. They look faster. They look more physical. And in the early rounds, again, where everyone's not really at their best, it's important that your attitude and your intensity is right, because if you get that wrong, it can slip away quickly. And that's what happened to the Titans. They were just not in the contest. By halftime, it was over. I respect the fight in the second half. They found a couple of tries, and they played better footy, but they would be disappointed with that, and particularly how they played in the trial too. I think they were up there in the preseason challenge. I know they're only trials, but you do get confidence from that, and they would have been, looking forward to round one with some excitement and with some hope. And that's a bitter pill to swallow, having a result of that, like conceding 50 points. But they'll be better. They'll get better.
Yeah, a bit of a disconnect in defence. Watching them on the screen, that'll disappoint Josh Hannay, but it's a project.
Yeah.
The Titans, and maybe people in the building will be talking them up and say, well, hey, we feel we've got a top 8 roster, but Josh Hannay's moved on a lot of players. Reminds me a bit of Cam Serraldo's first year at the Dogs. Big overhaul of the squad. Finds out who he wants to keep, who he doesn't. And I think with the Gold Coast, there's bigger things happening there that will bear fruit in maybe 2 or 3 seasons' time. It's a tough lesson for Josh Hannay that he's a rookie coach.
Yeah.
That this will have, he'd be naive if he didn't think he was ever going to be on the losing end of a 50-point defeat. Coming in his first game, he's just got to stay true to the course and educate these players and start finding out who's in there for this long ride.
Well, and that's the thing, Jimmy, like that turnaround in the, the education and the changing in the system, it's a process, right? Because once you get out there on the field and the blowtorch is put on you, the old habits, the bad habits, they rise to the top because that's what you're used to doing. And, it takes a while to change those habits. And again, it's a journey. They're at the start of their journey. Disappointing, but there's some brighter times on the horizon for the Titans.
Let's talk what I think is the most significant result from round one, and that's the Penrith Panthers defeating the Brisbane Broncos 26-0. These two teams played in the prelim final last year. They played in the grand final of 2023. Fierce rivals over the last few years, but Penrith, Jimmy, just absolutely dominated this game.
Yeah, well, Penrith looked like that side that have been a title contender. Well, not just a title contender, but a title holder for 4 years and in the mix for the last 6. And they looked like a team that are back. We know what happened last year. They're not mucking around this year, Panthers. They know, and they will have realised that the shaky start to the season cost them a spot in the top 4. And it cost them at the back end of the year against the Broncos. I'm not too concerned about the Broncos. There's always going to be scrutiny in and around that club. It comes with the territory. They were one pass sticking away from maybe 2-3 tries, changes the whole the dynamic of the game of football, the flow of the game of football. But what comes with a 26-0 defeat is more pressure, more conversation, more noise for the Brisbane Broncos.
Yeah, see, I don't think it was that significant at all, really, our performance. Because, not that, Broncos are always going to be a chance to win a game, right? But then if you look at the two teams' preparations, Penrith finished the year, they went out in the prelim, right? And they ended that great run of championships that they won. But they've had their first normal preseason in such a long time. And for the last 6 weeks, consistently, they're in Penrith, training the same days, getting ready for round one, sole focus. And then you look on the other side, the Broncos, World Club Challenge, obviously the Haas stuff, all that pressure and scrutiny that comes with being the premiership winners. It's not surprising, that result. again, the Broncos, not saying that they couldn't have won. Like if they turned up on the night and had their best performance, they're a lot better than what they were. But it's not a shock to see something like that unfold. And again, I'm with Jimmy. No, I'm not overly concerned. They weren't at their best. A couple of lack of execution or a couple of wrong options that really put them under the pump. And Penrith, when they're at their best, they just suffocated them, controlled the game, controlled the field position. Nathan Cleary just didn't let off and didn't allow the Broncos to come back into the game. But it wasn't a surprise result to me. Do I think the Broncos will be better? 100%. I think they'll be better, and it's what I expect from Penrith. I think, as much as it sucks to lose for them, like that run to come to an end, like they'll be rejuvenated, re-energized, remotivated, and they're a problem this year.
Wade, I want to ask you, the Hunt Reynolds starting combination with Mam off the bench, they lose 26-0, but this gets highlighted. It's different to a Cowboys of Clifford, Perdue, Drinkwater, Dearden, how they all fit into the equation. It's different to the Newcastle Knights of Fletcher Sharp, Sanders Smith. Yeah, they're talking points, and Dylan Brown. They're all talking points. But the Broncos, it's bigger. They started with Reynolds and Hunt. In my opinion, two genuine sevens with Mam off the bench. Where's your thoughts with that?
I think Madge probably just did it, anticipating the fireworks. So Haas, the Yoda going at it, Isaiah Yeo, Carrigan in the middle, maybe to bring Mam on 20 minutes in when the sting's gone out of it, that first change. Obviously, you get Benny Hunt in the hooker and Mam at 5'8". I think long-term, the Haas combo is Reynolds and Mam for 80 minutes, and how Hunt fits that in, whether you start him at hooker or play him at 14, that's probably their best spine and their most cohesive spine when it's all going well. But for round one, and he did in the grand final too, right? I can see why he'd go back to a formula, get the sting out of the game, get Ezra Mam on when there's some fatigue body, left foot. He's a dangerous runner of the ball. I think it's just a strategy for game one, but long term, I see Mam needs to play 80 minutes.
Welcome back to Triple M NRL Daily with Wade Graham, James Graham, and Charlie White. And boys, we've got to talk Lomax. The Saga's finally done. 2-year deal with the Western Force. He leaves the NRL. What are your first takes on it?
My first take is I'm happy that it's done because honestly, when did I retire? 3 years ago. I started on this Triple M. If Lomax's name hasn't dominated 90% of our chats, I'll give it away. And listen, I'm happy for him. Obviously, not a great situation, the way everything panned out. He decided to go to rugby, fell through, tried to come back, fell through, signed a deal with rugby. Hopefully that holds up this one. Hopefully that deal at Western Force holds up and go and play and be settled. And I'm happy not to be talking about him anymore.
I'd love for us to go through the Triple M archive and clip up every Lomax. Probably 3 minutes of us saying Lomax. In what, 18 months, two years?
We went a year there on a Thursday show.
Is he a centre? Is he a winger? Jeez, if only we knew then what we know now. Hey, congratulations to Zac. He's playing football. I've said this before that your time as an athlete is rationed, especially at the peak of your powers. It does go, or it can go very quickly. Good luck to him. He's back in 2 years when he's there for 2 years when his rugby league registration, or R360 come back and maybe let him down again.
Maybe he'll be playing for the Wallabies next year. Who knows?
Maybe.
I think personally, it's a terrible look for the game though. You lose an Origin player to a rival code just because a club wouldn't let him sign with another NRL club. Seems absolute madness.
Yeah, well, we're losing Mark Nwangani to Wase. We're losing Angus Crichton.
Yeah, but we're losing Angus Crichton and Mark Nwangani to Wase because they want to go play rugby union and they're entitled to do that.
Zach.
No, but he wants to play for the Melbourne Storm.
Yeah, but
Well, you know what? I want a gold-plated Rolls Royce as well, Charlie. But you know what? I'm not going to get one.
I'd rather talk about the young wing at the West Tigers who's coming through.
Yeah.
Like, this is the thing. The game is bigger than any one player, and we have greats all the time. Greats who finish and greats who move on. And Lomax certainly been good the last few years. He's played for Origin, played for Australia. But, the game's bigger than anyone. So it's no sweat off my back. Congratulations to him. Good luck in the future. But then I'm going to be watching this young kid from the West Tigers come through with the Jonah Lomu comparisons, and the game just keeps producing.
And I'm sure plenty of the fans out there and speaking to people, a contract means something. They'll be delighted that's finally something that's written on a piece of paper, a document that's been signed, sealed, and delivered, is actually standing up.
But these things go both ways. Clubs break contracts all the time. Like the Parramatta are trying to get Ryan Madison out of his deal at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, I get it, Charlie. I get it, Charlie. But I think
Charlie, he's been on Sunrise this morning. He might start Channel 7 current affairs soon. He's the hard hitting questions.
Yeah, maybe we should make a rugby league a current affair. I'll host it. You can be a roving reporter, Jimmy, if you want. You get out in the field.
What's the difference between a reporter and a roving reporter?
Yes, roving reporter, you're on the move, you're chasing stories, and other reporter might be a desk reporter. I don't know.
I'd love to join you, but my working weeks are full, guys.
Yeah, with golf.
You'll be on your own there.
Cronulla Golf Club are going to liquidation.
Now we're gonna do these segments every single week on a Monday. So basically today we've got the first round out of the way, and I want to ask you guys, after round one, what you've seen enough to make a big call on. So an example for that, for me, I'll start for you guys, give you an example. I've seen enough Cronulla Sharks play the grand final.
Ooh, I like that. That's a big one, Charlie.
That's a big one, yeah.
I've seen enough. Maybe I should have put some thought into this before I came in here. I'll say Canberra. I've seen enough of Ethan Saunders. I like him. I think he's going to be a really suitable replacement for Jamal Fogarty. Again, I had not doubts, but I was unsure on him. But it makes sense, right? Someone like Ricky Stewart and the Canberra club aren't going to let play like Jamal Fogarty go unless they have complete faith in Ethan Saunders. They're the best judges. They have seen this kid come through. They've seen him at training, seen him around the club. And again, my lack of knowledge, maybe I doubted them a bit, but I've seen enough. I think they'll go well again this year.
Yeah, I've seen enough of Latrell Mitchell at centre. That's his position moving forward for many of the reasons we highlighted earlier in the show.
I like it. Wade, you wanted to say something about Tanner Boyd as well.
Oh, yeah.
You were considering having him and you've seen enough, but he's honourable mention for you.
Yeah, I'm really happy for Tanner Boyd. He's had a bit of a rough journey there, a few tough years at the Gold Coast. He moves to the Warriors last year and plied his trade in the New South Wales Cup. I believe that he actually got an opportunity to go back to the Gold Coast Titans and play first grade, but he was happy to just bide his time in New South Wales Cup because he believed in the Warriors' journey and where they were heading and Andrew Webster. And it was great to see him have a great game against the Roosters. Probably all the talk heading to that game was about DCE, Sam Walker, that combination. But Tanner Boyd really stood up. And really now with Boyd and Tavita Harris, for me, I think it's a shootout to see who's Metcalf's half partner, because Metcalf can play 6 and 7. I think whoever, he's in more control of that team and adding the most value probably stays in the halves when Metcalf comes back. And certainly with Boyd, with his kicking game, his goal kicking, and the way Metcalf plays, I could see that combination really going well. So they're both probably playing for one position there, which is a good thing for the Warriors. It's hard when you're in that position as a player, Jimmy, but there's nothing like that internal competition, and you know that you have good players in and around you that pushes you to be better, and hopefully it brings out the best for Boyd and Harris, and it brings out the best for the Warriors.
Likewise. I mean, they were fantastic in that first game. It was great to see. I still think they missed the 8, the Warriors, but I think it's going to be a long season for them. They showed some good signs, Wade.
I haven't tipped a 8 this year. Somehow I've dodged it with every.
How did you dodge it on Saturday on the Saturday scrum?
I've dodged it, but it's getting hard to see who misses. I know it's early in the year, but I could make a case for the Warriors in terms of where they were last year. Top 4 for a lot of the year, and then they lose their best half and one of their best front rowers. If you take those key players out of any team, even Melbourne, or Penrith, you take Cleary and Isaiah Yeo out, big difference. Yeah. And the Warriors had to deal with that. So it's no, it's no surprise why they could have faded last year. I think they're better for the run. They're more experienced. I really like Andrew Webster. I can see them making the 8. And then South, I think South, if they stay healthy, consistent, they've got a top 8 team as well. So who falls out of last year? Yeah. Is it the Roosters who just snuck in? Is it another team?
Is it the Broncos? Is it the Broncos?
I don't think it's the Broncos. Oh, it could be. This competition's so close. Yeah. And it's hard so early in the year to be making big predictions. But a lot of teams looking good.
Well, I want a big prediction from you now, Jimmy. After round 1, what are you putting a line through?
I'm putting a line through people saying that they messed up the interchange. we've had a couple of examples. One being Yongi comes off, and I can't even recall who they.
Papali.
Josh Papali comes on. So we messed up the interchange. No, you had a fullback come on and replace a fullback for a little bit, and you've still got others to choose from.
No, but they did mess it up. They did
no,
mess up because they already.
It's not a valid excuse.
Talon De Silva had already come on.
A valid excuse. So what?
Dylan Walker had already come on.
Okay, so who do?
Now they've only got one
in
other
that situation, who do you put at fullback?
Well, what the Cowboys did, they reshuffled when Drinkwater went off and Purdue went to the back and McIntyre moved into the centres. Because at the time, I remember we were doing the game in Vegas and I was in your headset. Yeah. I said, "Oh, mate, have the Cowboys stuffed up there?"
Well,
but really, what the coach needs to do now is wait. If they think the player's going to come back on, don't activate that player until you're certain they're not coming back on the field.
Well, there is a bit more strategy.
There is a little bit, but you can't be blaming.
But they stuffed. They had one middle. Then
you know what? Fix that up then.
Yeah.
Put a line through ever being able to dine out on that excuse.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I was looking at again the Sharkies game. Because of the rules now, they're able to have Sifa Talakai, Ueli, who was the other two?
Did Hazelton start?
No, Hazelton started.
Toby Rudolph,
and there was another big body on the bench. It was 4 big bodies where normally you got to sort of hedge your bets.
Yeah, you go 3 in there.
You go 3 in a utility, but they can go 4 bigs now, and I like the look of that. And then obviously if something happens, they have have their backup in 18th man or 19th man, but there is a little bit more strategy, but there's more freedom, Jimmy.
Yeah, there's more freedom. Sometimes it's a choice paradox, but I don't want to see coaches say, I messed up the interchange. If you sort it out.
But if you look at round 1, the Todd Payton nailed it, and Jason Rowell stuffed it up. Because he should have known.
The Cowboys still lost.
Yeah, I know.
So people going, "Oh, this is the reason."
But
it's not.
He did get the interchange right, Todd Payton. So Riles made it so they had, and then in the second half they just got drowned by the Melbourne middle.
That's not the
it was Oregon Confucio on the bench. Sorry, Og, mate, I should have known that. It was a big Sunday.
Mate, you're a Sharks fan.
That's not why they lost.
No.
Well,
we're going to do something else. Oh no, sorry. Who are you putting a line through?
No, I'm not putting a line through anyone, but I'm putting a line through this fans coming on the field for Alex Johnson breaking the record.
What?
Oh. I agree. Wayne Bennett came out strong. I get it. Mate, when he scores the record-breaking try, I'll be happy for him as well. I'll stand up and clap at home. And if you're at the ground,
you're gonna stand up.
I'll stand up and clap
off your couch.
Yeah, if I'm at home, I'll stand up and clap him. And people at the ground, they'll stand up and clap. There's no need to go onto the field, mate. Go see him at the end of the game.
That is a proper prawn sandwich eater. That. Oh, well done, Alex. Come on, where's your? Yeah, he's making history away.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna stand up and pump and yell out and scream at home.
No, at home. But if you're at the game, get on the field.
No, mate. No, why?
Because it's special.
Yeah, it is special. Stand up and clap in the stands and then go see him at the end of the game.
Get on the field. You got to get on the field. Right. If I'm going to the game, I'll be running on the field 1,000%. I might even put my media pass on though, so then I can't get fined. I'm like, I'll field to play. No, but you got to.
Put a line through it. No, don't do it. Like, why? It's just another try. It's a record. I get it. It's a record. You celebrate the record after the game. Fans can hang around. I'm sure Alex is going to do a lap and shake everyone's hand. Like, he's a good dude. Start the field, mate. There's still a game to be played.
It's funny. Alex seems pro for it because Alex on Fox Sports yesterday said, "Oh, they can't find everyone."
Well,
unless they do. Imagine that you're in court. Say, well, AJ said to me on TV, they can't find everyone.
Why would you go on the field, Jimmy? There's a game to be played. It's still a game.
Because all right. Why would we run onto the field? Because Alex Johnson has just scored the most tries in NRL history. I'm not a pitch invader.
But it's just another try, right? I know he scored a lot of try, but it's just another try. He broke a record, yes, but it's a try in a game where there's competition. Stay off the field.
So did you not like Buddy Franklin when he kicked his 1,000th goal or whatever it was, and everyone ran the field? You didn't like that?
I didn't watch the AFL
because I was there. I ran on the field for that as well. I'm not even an AFL fan, but I was.
He just admitted to a crime, man. So come and find him yourself, please.
Well, mate, on that game, there was people scattering their ashes on the SCG, and there was also people getting down and proposing on the field.
Imagine that. I'm thinking of proposing here, But imagine if he doesn't break the record there.
Oh, I know. But
Or if she said no.
Mate, my missus actually threatened to propose to me at Shark Park because she was sort of, we've been together a long time, and she's, putting a little bit of pressure on, hinting that she wanted an engagement ring, and then just a few comments that, mate, if you don't do it, I'll do it at Shark Park. And the thing is, like, my missus, that's not a bluff. She pulled the trigger on that.
Do the Brian To'o propose at the stadium. Now, after round one, Jimmy, is there anything that pundits, fans, we need to cool our jets on?
Yeah, I'm putting my line through everything. It's just round one.
Yeah.
Relax. I know we hyped up round one, big pressure games. We're going to hype up round two as well. The Cowboys against the Tigers. I get it, but I'm going to go against this because probably at the weekend I'll be saying how much of a pressure game it is and all that jazz. But we just need to chill. Big example of that is the Warriors last year in Vegas. I think most people went, they're going to really struggle, and it took them a return home before they fired.
Yeah. I'm going to say Parramatta Eels, Wade.
I agree with you.
Like it's actually a worse result than they had last year in round one, but there was a lot more positives, I think, in that game this time round than the first round where they. Yeah,
you know what was wrong?
What's that?
They messed their interchange.
That's
the whole reason they lost by 50 odd.
They certainly did, mate.
They messed it up, mate.
I agree with you, Charlie. I think when they look at their video, it's going to be easily identified where they let themselves down, and they just gave up too much possession, ill discipline. Obviously, their interchange issues, Jimmy. But there was early signs there. That first try where they went Moses, Pezzett, and they stripped that right edge of the Melbourne Storm. Like not many teams strip a Storm team like that, and they pulled them apart.
They were down to 12 as well, weren't they?
With some slick play, and they've got more of that in them, 100%. They just got to fix up some other parts of their game. So cool your Jets, but again, it doesn't get easier for them.
No.
Broncos at Suncorp after a loss, so it's a tough,
big, huge pressure game.
Bold prediction: Parramatta win.
One of them's going. One of the Para or Brisbane are going to start 0-2. Oh,
Parramatta beat the Broncos. You heard it here first. Great show, lads. As always, great to have you. So every Monday you got Wade Graham, Jimmy Graham here. So
and you
and myself as well. But it's gonna be a great footy season
if you can squeeze us in
with Sunrise. Yeah, I'll have to prioritise Sunrise always. So
the Graham Family Trust is back in action.
What percentage are you taking?
Great show, boys. Well done.